G'day guys, Ryan here. This is a special edition of my YouTube content, going a little bit sideways here because there's so much information to go over with everything that was announced at LevelUp Day. I've interviewed Sean Clark one-on-one. If you haven't seen that, go and watch that video. But it still doesn't do it justice. Like the amount of functionality that was shipped in Q3, the things that are coming prior to the end of Q4, some of them are really paradigm shifting for anybody that uses HighLevel, agencies running HighLevel. It's going to be a completely different world in 2023, and I am personally pumped. So Sean Clark went through these slides. He was given about 3 or 4 seconds per slide, and there are 160 slides. So get a cup of tea or take this episode on the road with you in the car, because it could end up being a long one. So I'm going to make a cup of tea and I'm going to start running through it, because I want you to know the impact, the real business world, real world customer impact that all of these changes will mean for you. So I will spend probably longer than 3 or 4 seconds per slide, as Sean did, but I will try to make it as concise as I can. So strap in, get a drink if you're not driving a car, and let's dive into 160 slides of awesomeness that were announced in case you missed it. Let's go. All right, happy Friday, everybody. So here we go. There is a ton of stuff to get through, and look, you know, I wouldn't sit at a computer or on my phone and watch me go on. So look, I do recommend taking this one on the road if you can, or at least just listen to the audio. So here we go, guys and girls. Right, so this presentation, I stole it and I've built my own presentation because I'm a nerd, and I spend time scraping the HighLevel blog and putting together my own presentation purely for a YouTube video that no one's going to watch. So here we go. So look, we're going to cover off everything from the CRM calendar updates. You can read, so it's all there, right? Eliza, funnels, advertising bundles, blah, 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 right? We're going to cover off all of this. So if you are interested in something specific, this is the order in which I'm going to do it. So look, so let's start with CRM, right? So they are definitely, HighLevel are definitely now thinking about playing in the space of, you know, HubSpot, right? Salesforce, etc. And look, let's not think about the scale and sophistication of Salesforce, and for that matter, you know, HubSpot. But the biggest shift is having a company object, right? So having a company object means that no longer are you having a one-to-one conversation. It means that you can now have a one-to-many conversation, meaning many contacts belonging to one business, and you're tracking the activity that you have with stakeholders, constituents, and employees of that business. So it's the activity with the business that's the metrics that someone wants to track, rather than someone wanting to speak to an individual. What that means is that, you know, it goes beyond just business to consumer applications. You know, it starts to be a real B2B solution, and, you know, we'll start to compete with the likes of those brands that I just mentioned. So they started off by adding a custom fields folder. That's already there. I'm already using it. Great. Just keeps you organized. But what I did notice is that it allows you to look on the screen here when you're looking at the contact panel, is that when you're doing a new custom field, you choose which folder it belongs to. Great for organization. But then you choose which group it belongs to. So not to be confused with the folder, the group allows you to then stick it in either general info or additional info. And that's pretty handy because, you know, everything was like, you know, before everything was in additional info, and just kind of shoved in the order in which you wanted it on like the third tab across. Now it's the very first tab that you get on a contact, and any of those custom fields can exist in both general or additional just by expanding those tabs out. So massive user experience update. The user experience sucked before they did that. And now what I think we need to see is on creation of a contact, manual creation of a contact, we need to see the ability to add values that are mandatory before the contact's created, right? So now it's just like name, email address, go. We need to be able to say, like what company do they belong to? That's mandatory before you can create the record and all that type of stuff. And I can see that is definitely, around the corner. So I'm pretty excited by that. As someone who's worked in the B2B space for a long time, to see it evolve and mature into a true B2B platform is amazing, right? And personally, selfishly, the customers that I work with, it's only going to make the value that I can provide them that much better. So yeah, company object, I'm already using it. It's pretty basic right now. So as of recording this, what are we, the 18th of November? Multiple contacts can belong to a company, but you can create a company object, right? You can create a company record. It didn't exist before, so that's awesome, right? And then you can have a list of companies and the related contacts to those companies. So good job. There it is. Conversations, they gave us some additional filters. I saw feedback from some other people that they weren't necessarily too thrilled with this user experience update, where it was just like one button before. Now it's this big menu item. But anyway, look, so there's the ability to look at like what the last channel was in which you so if you were speaking to someone across multiple channels, show me everybody where the last channel was Instagram DMs. Like, that's pretty cool, right? So I think that's it's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful. It'll demo well, right? If you're doing presentations, demonstrations, that type of stuff. Login as. I'm already using this. It's so helpful. As an agency administrator, but having to log out and log back into somebody else was a pain in the B. So, keeping it all PG here, right? But the ability now to just log in as, thank God, right? So happy about that. TikTok integration. I've started to use TikTok and I've just connected my ads account. So all these integrations, by the way, when somebody says integration, they're only able to integrate their advertising platforms. And posting, right? So that just means that we're able to post ads essentially. But TikTok, is the new Facebook in terms of the cost per 1,000 impressions. I'm starting to get heavier and heavier on my own TikTok use. The time is now for TikTok. So the fact that they have it where you can do, that area where you've got Facebook form fields mapping. As soon as you integrate TikTok, you've got Facebook form fields mapping. Do lead form advertising on TikTok, bang. You're now automatically nurturing leads from TikTok. So it was necessary for them to do. They did it really quickly. Props to them for getting that done. Awesome. I'm using it myself. Notifications manager and panel, I don't really care about the notifications, but what I think is cool is being able to go through this level of granularity around what kind of notifications do you want to get around conversations, tasks, calendars, etc. Right? This is cool because when I'm as an agency administrator, right, you want to get notified when a new conversation is initiated within the account. So it's sort of like a sub-account activity is happening, and you're going to get notified about that. You're also going to get notified about appointments being booked. when a WordPress service is purchased, blah, 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 right? So that's cool. Tasks. This is cool. If you haven't used this already, I started to use it because I suppose having it as just one segment of the dashboard, which is what it previously was kind of shitey, and now it's a dedicated, list, and it behaves as a robust, task list in its own right. Every CRM needs task lists. This again, probably playing more into the B2B space than anything, but I can see how it would work for B2C as well. Tasks related to contacts, does this then need to have tasks related to companies? That would be more in the B2B space. But even in systems like HubSpot, you have tasks related to contacts. Follow up on Wednesday, they said call back on this day. And that then becomes more of a system that sales and marketing teams use collaboratively to achieve the goals. So, perfect. Love that. And then this is more of like the forecasting, right? So, company object V2. They want to see tasks at a company level. There you go. Answer my own question. Based on a business name rather than a domain name, you can do the associations. Great. Opportunity page. So, you would expect that if they do the company object, that part of that, is on opportunities. There's more information surrounding the company rather than the contact, which is what it's always been, which is good. Happy with that. Multiple phone numbers and email addresses per contact. Great. How that ends up working in workflows is going to be really interesting, right? Like it's going to default to a certain phone and email. Otherwise, you're saying something like, I would expect that you would need something like a rollover where it says like, if you don't find a phone number in their first phone number, then go and use the second and things like that, right? Additional filters in the smart list. Great. Tags folder. Great. Custom values. Task categories. Awesome. I like that. Custom values. Folders. Great. Need that. Just like custom fields can be organized into folders, now you can do custom values. Love that. Scheduling messages. I was looking today. We don't know when this is coming, but I think it's slated for Q4. So the ability to do the bulk actions schedule, and I believe within the workflows as well. Two-way email sync. If you're not sure what this means, essentially it's like if I send an email to a contact, you want GoHighLevel to pick up that conversation as activity in GoHighLevel, as well as the conversation that took place in your actual mailbox, in your inbox, right? CC and BCC for emails, that already exists. So I'm guessing that this is the way that they'll do two-way email synchronization, right? Like HubSpot just have like a BCC, a global BCC email address, and they just catch all, and then they say, okay, well, this is conversation that belongs to Roger at ramjet.com, so therefore associate with the conversation with them. And it's an easy way to do integrations. Conversation modules, that's already there. I've already seen that. It's like you click on the three dots in the conversation and you can see whether it was inbound or outbound and what the type of message was. That's already there. That's cool. New message flow enhancements. Not sure what that is. If somebody does, please comment. Send as feature enhancement. That's cool. Don't know what that is. Custom providers is already there. I know they've already got email and SMS as custom providers, as conversations. I'm in the developers Slack channel. The custom providers API, oh my God, they've been promising all sorts of stuff forever. And everyone is getting very ticked off with their lack of, one, documentation around their API endpoints. Two, when they release an API endpoint, you can't do anything with it. custom providers, they're limited now to SMS and email. It's just annoying, right? Like, you want to be able to do whatever you like, not just SMS and email, because, you know, there's a lot more that the conversation can originate from any third-party application, not just an email provider or an SMS provider. So who knows? Identity access management. So LinkedIn integration, audit log enhancements, Apple Business Chat, developer marketplace. Right, so permissions, I'm guessing they're going to go more granular. Developer marketplace, I'm already there because I'm signed up as a developer myself. That's already there. So you need to go and register, tell yourself that you're a developer. That's through their OAuth 2 authorization. Apple Business Chat, no idea. LinkedIn integration, no idea. But I do know, because I spoke to Sean about it, is that it's to do with the ads. Right, so if you're running LinkedIn ads, which are the worst possible performing ads in my 20 years running sales and marketing teams, LinkedIn is terrible. If someone is watching this and they've had success running LinkedIn ads and it hasn't cost them $1 million, let me know. I'll be here to keen to hear from you. Apple Business Chat, I have no idea what that is. Somebody knows what that is, comment. No idea. Audit log enhancements, great. Who doesn't love an audit log enhancement? Righto, moving on, calendar updates. I've already seen a few of these, right? So now that they've consolidated them into groups. So you have recurring appointment calendars. You've got, multiple participants being able to attend one session. And then you've got a round robin type appointment, as well as a single event appointment, right? So I've already seen these stuff. They're saying that these are future releases for Q4. So, recurring appointments. I'm trying to think of a use case where you have recurring appointments. I'm sure there's a big need out there for it. I cannot for the life of me think of recurring appointments where, if somebody's attending every Friday or something like that. I don't know how useful that is when it's business to consumer. But maybe, I'd be interested to see the use cases there. Add guests. So I can see like when it's an event. So this is good, because you can imagine if you have a physical event, or you've got a service business where one person makes the booking. So, your mother books you all to go on a wine tasting. That's 1+ guests. Or in B2B space, it's the receptionist, the EA to the CEO makes the reservations for the event, but the delegates are actually other people, right? So that's a very common use case and needed. Right. So adding groups now. So I've seen this now. I'm a little bit confused by it, to be honest, but groups. So you can add a number of groups. Calendars can belong to groups, and that, I believe, becomes the new, what used to be a team calendar. No such thing as a team calendar anymore. There's just groups. A team calendar, I believe, the concept is lost now. You can still do a round robin calendar, which is essentially a multi-person calendar, and then you can choose the distribution of the appointment by availability or equal distribution, which is your round robin. So yeah, they really need to roll that out as quickly as possible because it's becoming confusing. Reserve with Google. This is only US. I don't live in the US, so I did a post on this the other day on social media, but Reserve with Google. Local service ads. This is really cool, right? Because if you've got a Google business profile and you're doing Google local services ad, now you can do reserve and it's going to come through to a calendar. That's amazing. This one slide is going to change a ton of people's lives in the US, and they hopefully bring it out in Australia soon. Geez, they could have used some better demo data when they did the screenshot here. Moving on. We saw this. Grouping calendars, recurring appointments. So that's what it's going to look like. Good, you know, looking at the synchronization options, looking at available slots in case there's things there. I like that. You know, that's good. Alrighty, automation updates. Q3, what they do. Has anyone ever done a get method in a webhook? I want to be able to do that. Or a post, to be honest. So if anyone has ever successfully done a post or a get in a webhook action in the workflow updater, please comment. I want to talk to you because it can be game changing, right? You don't have to now go out to something listening like Integromat, Make, Zapier, you know, that webhook's listening, just so you can pick up the info and then send the data to like a get request and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. We can just make the API call directly from within workflow. Like that's game changing, right? For me anyway. For a lot of other people, who knows? But that is massive. But what I did notice is when I try to do that, they're not being like the result of the request is not being stored anywhere. So where do you get that value once you've made the request? I don't know. Workflow folder permissions. I didn't. Yeah, great. I still haven't played around with the if-else branches, but I have seen it in action, and that's an amazing improvement. Basically, in the workflow builder, when you're running if statements, you had to do embedded if statements. Now you can just run the branches so they're all in the same one. Makes it so much cleaner. Goals. Yeah. Once you've achieved a particular goal of the workflow, move them somewhere else automatically. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like, so now they're actually, you know, like running a get and post methods directly in here. Where does the information get captured? If I'm doing a get, I'm getting a response. So where does the response go? Someone tell me. Workflow folder permissions. Yeah, great. And we saw that, and that's the goal. Alrighty, future releases. Video events was really cool. So, you know, what they're talking about here is the ability to host a video and then go, you know, if somebody watched the whole video, halfway through the video, that type of stuff in a workflow, which is really cool. Video is eating the world, and so you need to be able to do more with video. So this is a really, really cool release. Q4, Q1, okay, so membership, new triggers, product starter, category, blah, blah. This is cool. Someone like me who runs courses and has, I've invested a ton of time in memberships to be able to get a handle on what's happening with people starting a new product, a new category. This is really cool, right? This enables you to do product-led growth for membership-based products, which, you know, is incredible. The use case here for me is like, you know, if somebody starts a lesson, I can reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed you started this lesson, blah, blah, blah. And then I can keep harassing them and say, like, you started off well, don't stop, you're doing really well. And then, you know, until they get lesson completed, I'll send those nurtures, right? Global action, new feature, booked appointment, contact replied. No idea what they're talking about there. Those two things already exist. But it exists as a trigger or an action. I think there are triggers now, so now they're talking them into actions. If somebody knows more about that, let me know. Paid features, pay per event. All right, this is what we were looking at today. So things can cost high-level money, like an inbound webhook and other API actions like outbound data, Google Sheets, and Slack things, right? So essentially, they're now going to have their own version of Zapier, which means you don't need Zapier for everything, which is crazy. Which means, you know, they're making money off the microtransactions for all those API requests. Good for them. Just means that the workflows are even more robust. So for me personally, that is incredible, right? The ability to do API requests, Google Sheet, Slack integrations, like as native elements inside a workflow is massive. So, wow, there's going to be some cool workflows coming up in 2023. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I don't really care. This is more to be like a feature release thing. But like looking at this information, it's interesting, right? The top kind of SaaS people, you know, with 100 or more SaaS locations, there's only 128 of them in the world out of 4,500 agencies. And out of those 128, there are 49,460 locations. So there's like a small handful of agencies that are like pumping